Happy Sunday and happy Thanksgiving week. I hope that everybody is looking forward to Thursday and that your preparations are going good and hopefully spending some time with family and have lots to look forward to. So today I am going to show you a special recipe. It is my Mamaw's pumpkin roll. So I'm going to be making a few of those for Thanksgiving, and I actually got started on it last night so that I can make this video today. So you'll be able to see the process from pretty much start to finish with two different pumpkin rolls. So let me just fix my little camera here before we get started. So it's not that difficult, but there are a couple areas that can be a little bit tricky. Just takes a little bit of patience. So 3 eggs, and I'm using just large eggs. I guess you could use extra large too, but she always just used, I think, just large eggs. And then you'll see I'm not even making this in the mixer. This is something that can be done all in a medium-sized bowl. Got a little bit of shell in there. So something that can easily be done with a medium-sized bowl and not a mixer, so you don't have to use, or at least this part. Now the next part, the filling, you're actually going to want to use either a mixer or a handheld mixer. I've got a stand mixer. So first I'm just getting my, my 3 eggs kind of lightly beat right here. And then I've got 2/3 cup of canned pumpkin. Make sure that it's the regular or just plain pumpkin, not pumpkin pie mix. The pumpkin pie mix has a lot of sugar in it. You just want everything plain, or this part to be plain so that you can add your own amount of sugar. I don't know what it would taste like if you used pumpkin pie mix. It would definitely be runnier because that is runnier than plain pumpkin. So we get that. So that was 2/3 cup of pumpkin. And I kind of like to do all the, each ingredient kind of separately. I feel like it helps me to mix it a little bit better. And then I've got a cup of sugar, just plain white sugar. I think I've seen some people use brown sugar, but I'm making this recipe just like Mamaw did. So I'm not going to change anything. And I don't know that I would ever even want to try something different because hers was perfect as it is. Just ask my Uncle Ben, and my Uncle Sam, my Uncle Willie, ask anybody. I remember going to her house sometimes on Thanksgiving, and she would have already made, she had spent a week making these, and so she would have one in the refrigerator just for my Uncle Ben. So that's what I'm thinking about right now. And then I've got 3/4 cup of flour, just regular all-purpose flour. You don't want self-rising because then probably be a little bit too thick to make a pumpkin roll. Here I'm getting ahead of myself, making a mess here. And then after the flour, I've got a 1/4 teaspoon of salt, a teaspoon of baking soda, and a teaspoon of cinnamon. And that's it. That's all the ingredients that you're going to need. So we'll get this mixed up really good. I've got my oven already preheated to 375. So I'm going to try to get this as smooth as I can. So this only takes about 12 to 15 minutes to bake in the oven. So what I'm going to do now, I've got a 10 by 15 jelly roll pan that I've already got. Now mine's old. I've been using it for years. But I've got a piece of wax paper, a little bit longer than the pan. because I think it kind of makes it easier to hold on to when you flip it out. But anyway, on the wax paper, I've got that greased with just a little bit of coconut oil. You can use Pam cooking spray or whatever you want to use to grease it, butter. It just makes it a lot easier to take the cake, the wax paper off of the cake after you flip it over. So now I'm gonna just pour my batter on here onto my wax paper. And then once I do that, it's really not a lot of batter because you're gonna have a pretty thin cake when it's done, pumpkin cake when it's done, which will make it obviously easier to roll it up without it breaking. Now I have had times that mine cracks on me. Sometimes it seems like no matter what you do, it's going to crack when you unroll it. But that's a small problem because it's still going to taste good. And sometimes I have found a way around fixing those cracks, or even if it completely tears in half. You know, you just work with it, do what you can. All right. So now I'm just going to smooth it out. It's not going to be perfect, or at least mine isn't. Sometimes there's, you know, a little bit more batter in one area than the next, but just do your best to kind of smooth it around as evenly as you can on your pan here. So, almost done with that. And like I said, this is going to bake in a preheated 375 degree oven for 12 to 15 minutes. The one that I made last night was the full 15 minutes. Now, if you overbake it, it's going to crack. If you underbake it, then obviously it's going to be gooey. Nobody likes uncooked cake. So, all right. Sometimes I like to just kind of tap it on the counter, kind of get some bubbles out of it, just like that. But as you can see, I've got it smooth. And like I said, this is a 10 by 15 jelly roll pan. So now I'm just gonna go put this in the oven real quick I'm gonna set my timer for 14 minutes, and then I'll take it out and I'll check it to see where it's at after 14 minutes. Okay, now the next part is your cream cheese filling, which is this I am going to use a stand mixer for. It just makes it so much faster. Or, I mean, you could use a hand mixer too, either one. So I've got my stand mixer here, and I have got a 1/4 cup of softened butter. It doesn't matter if you're using salted or unsalted. It just needs to be softened or room temperature butter. And then 6 ounces of cream cheese that has also been softened. So I'm going to put those together here in my mixer, the mixer bowl. And I'm using my paddle attachment. I know Mamaw did not have a stand mixer. She had just a little hand mixer. So I guess with the hand mixer, just whatever beater fits into that. Honestly, I haven't had a hand mixer in so long, I don't even remember what type of attachments it has. So I'm gonna just kind of beat this on low for, I don't know, maybe about a minute, a little bit longer, we'll see. Just to kind of get it mixed up together and softened pretty well, which it's already softened. So pretty much this is just to get the butter and the cream cheese incorporated together. Let me see if I can kind of show you there. Okay. And I'm going to show you my, the beater that I use has this little rubber part on one side, and so that kind of makes it easy to scrape the side of the bowl. So that looks like it's pretty well incorporated. So now to, sorry about that. Now I've got a cup of sugar. Well, actually first I'm gonna do a half a teaspoon of vanilla. Now sometimes Mamaw added pecans to hers, but I don't know that she did it that often, because I just remember eating plain without pecans. So I'm not gonna add pecans to mine, but you can at the very end if you want. So I'm gonna mix in this vanilla real quick before I add 1 cup of powdered sugar. And I always kind of like to, when I'm doing frosting, whether it be regular buttercream, cream cheese, whatever kind of frosting, I like to scrape my bowl a couple times, get it off the sides of the bowl. And so now I've got my 1 cup of powdered sugar. Never forget, when you're using a stand mixer or any type of mixer, when you've got powdered sugar in there, start off on low, or else your sugar's gonna go everywhere. And so you'll see that I kind of do, I start and stop my mixer a few times until my sugar gets pretty much incorporated. That way I don't end up with a cloud of powdered sugar in my face. So now I'm increasing it a little bit closer to medium. I do have a little bit of sugar stuck on the bottom of my bowl, so I'm going to use just a little rubber spatula to kind of help along with the process, and then I'll mix it just for another minute, and then it'll be ready to put in our pumpkin roll that I made last night. So what I made one last night because it does have to be rolled up in a towel and cool completely before you unroll it. So yeah, I got started on one last night. That way I could do this part this morning. And the one that I'm baking right now, I will make my frosting this evening and go on and fill that and put it in the refrigerator. All right, so easy to make the frosting. That was 6 ounces of cream cheese, 1/4 cup of butter, 1 cup of powdered sugar, and 1/2 teaspoon of vanilla. And then if you wanted to add chopped pecans or walnuts, you could do that too. Then however much you want. I think let's see, 1/2 cup, I believe, was what she told me. I wrote down her recipe years ago when I was sitting at her table. She gave it to me. So, all right. Now comes the tricky part, or one of the tricky parts. So the pumpkin roll that I made last night, I've got it rolled up here in a towel. I'm going to show you before I've got 8 minutes left on my other one. So I'm going to show you what I do. Before you take your pumpkin roll out of the oven, you're going to want your towel to be ready and prepared. So get a clean kitchen towel, and then you're going to very generously sprinkle it with powdered sugar. So put enough powdered sugar on there until you think you have enough, and then keep going. Put more on there, because that'll keep your supposed to keep your pumpkin roll from sticking and from breaking on you. So I'm just covering this towel with some powdered sugar so that it'll be ready. because once my pumpkin roll is done, or once the cake part is done baking, you're going to want to immediately turn it out on over onto this towel. So you do have to work quick with part of this process. So, all right. I feel like I've got enough powdered sugar on there and then some. So this towel is ready. I'm just gonna move it out of my way and grab a piece of plastic. So when I'm working on the pumpkin roll that I made last night, I like to have a piece of plastic here. Because when I'm done, I'm gonna roll it up in this plastic wrap to put it in the refrigerator. So this is what I made last night, and I always like to say a little silent prayer that when I'm unrolling it, it does not break on me. So far so good. But you know what? Even if it does, it's still gonna taste good. And frosting that you make is gonna kind of act like a little bit of glue to keep it together. So there we go. Okay, let me kind of move this a little bit like that so you can see what I'm doing here. So now I've got a little spatula that I'm going to use to once I put my frosting on here, to kind of smooth it out, spread it around evenly. So definitely need to be careful that you don't get this all the way to the edges, or else it's just going to make a big mess. And you'll see what I mean when you roll it up. It'll leak out. So I'm just going to smooth this out as evenly as I can. Sometimes I have leftover frosting. Sometimes I don't. So just, here we go. Yeah, I have these memories of going to see her for Thanksgiving, and she would tell me, go look in the fridge, go open the fridge. And we would do that, and inside would be a pumpkin roll or 3. And I remember several times her telling me, now one of those in there is Ben's. So Uncle Ben always got his own. And I think Uncle Sam did too. She worked really hard on her pumpkin rolls. And we all appreciated it. I'm very happy that I have her recipe. It's kind of like she's going to be here for Thanksgiving. So almost done with this part. It's going pretty smooth. So far, so good. To me, the hardest part of doing this whole process is the unrolling without it breaking, and turning the pan over, because you've got a hot pan, so turning that over onto your towel without making a mess. I always get a little nervous about that, because you want it to be perfect, you know, even though it doesn't have to be, because it tastes good enough that if it's broken, if it's, you know, everybody's still going to eat it. But you do want it to look nice. Kind of adds to the whole specialness of it. All right. So now I've got my frosting spread pretty evenly, and I'm going to start rolling. So you very, very carefully, I wonder how much time I've got left on my stove over there. So very carefully roll it up, just like that. I'm almost done. Just takes a little bit of patience and gentle hand to get this right. And then I'm here at the end, so I'm just gonna very easily peel my towel off. It always seems to want to stick right at the very end. So just as gentle as you can, pull the towel off. And say more prayers that it doesn't tear up on you. And this whole process just takes practice anyway. I know the first few times that I made these, the first time I made it, I didn't think to grease my wax paper because I thought, oh, it's wax paper, it'll just come right off. It didn't. And I had a bunch of cake crumbs, which is okay if you want to make cake pops. But when you're going for Mamaw's pumpkin roll, you don't want cake pops. So I have this now. Let's move this towel out of the way. So here's my pumpkin roll. Now we're gonna roll again. So I've got it in my plastic. I got a really big piece of saran wrap. So now I'm gonna roll it tight again. So last night when I was working on this one, Ivan and his little friend Moses were at the table watching me, and they said it was like I was making sushi. So I thought, well, I don't like sushi. So there we go. There's my pumpkin roll. It's not broken, it didn't tear on me, and it is full of cream cheese frosting. So we've got that ready. I'm gonna go on and put it in the refrigerator. Well, I'll put it in the refrigerator here in a minute. I've got just a couple minutes, like a couple seconds left on the one that I just put in the oven. So I'm gonna go on and get my towel ready so that I can turn it out onto my towel. And it looks like it's done. I'm just gonna check with a toothpick really quickly, and it is done. So the difficult part here, I'm just gonna turn this out as quickly as possible. There we go. And I'm going to use these little extra corners to very carefully, the corners of the wax paper, to very carefully try to straighten this out as much as I can, because I never get it turned out completely straight onto my towel. So here we go. And now I'm going to start peeling. Even though I grease this, it can still take a while to get it to come off of here. So this is a very careful, just go as careful and quickly as you can, kind of both, getting this wax paper off. The longer you leave it on here, it's going to stick, and then you're not going to have a pumpkin roll, I'll tell you that. So going as fast as I can. There we go. Very hot, very, very hot. Oh, that's what I'm doing here. That's okay. Every now and then there's a little piece that kind of comes off with the wax paper. If I was selling this, I would care about that a lot more than I do right now, but I'm not. I'm having this for Thanksgiving. So now I've got it turned out onto my towel here. Can see, and I'm going to take just a little bit more sugar and kind of sprinkle like this just along the edges, and then you start rolling. And so I'm going to sprinkle more sugar right here. There we go. And then you roll it up very carefully. and let it sit for at least 4 or 5 hours until it's completely cool. Like I said, I let mine sit overnight, but this evening I will go on and make more frosting to fill this one. So that is how you make a pumpkin roll. It's not that difficult. It can take a little bit of practice to make sure that just that you know what you're doing, and to get comfortable with doing the rolling part and the whole pan flipping, but it's really not that hard and it's worth it. So I hope that everybody gives this a shot. And I hope that my family that watches this is reminded of Mamaw's kitchen and all of the wonderful things that she did for us. So everybody take care, and I hope that you have a wonderful Thanksgiving. Thank you for watching.